a while. Good morning, everyone. Oh, we got people here this morning. How exciting. Good morning, everyone. We're so happy you're here with us today. Let's take a moment to greet and welcome those who are attending the service on Zoom today. Dustin, could you give us the gallery view, please? Hi, everybody. Okay, it's so nice to be together with everyone. On behalf of the congregation, I would especially like to welcome all who are visiting with us today, some maybe for the first time. We're so pleased to have you with us, and we hope you will come often. If you'd like to learn more about us, our contact information is on the small cards on the table in the narthex, and in our newsletter, the communicator, which is also on the table. We welcome families here at UCLC, and the child care is available during services. First, we have a few announcements. If you have not done so yet, please fill out the emergency contact card located on the table closest to the social hall. Also, UCLC is sponsoring an essay contest on a conservative topic for seniors in Lake County Public High Schools. Conservation. Oh, sorry. I got conservative. Conservation, topic for seniors in Lake County Public High Schools. The publicity materials are going to the high schools this weekend. If you know any high school seniors, please let them know. Okay, so let's walk together to honor an American civil rights hero. On Saturday, January 21st, UCLC will be walking in the Leesburg Parade to commemorate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Step-off time for the parade is 11 a.m. Please join us wearing your UCLC shirts, if you have one. And the route is not long, it's on level streets, and we're going to carry us the big 16-foot bright yellow UCLC banner. Please let Karen Woolhouse know if you intend to participate so she can send you the assembly point information when it's available. Her email is woolhouse, WOOLHOUSE @earthlink.net. There will be a soup and sandwich lunch for the walkers at Karen's event. Our Safe Congregation Committee needs a chairperson. This is the committee that decides our COVID protocols and works to keep us safe. Contact Christina Wilkins if you are interested. You're it. Good job.
Bernie's it.
He's it. Good job. Okay, so be sure to check out the weekly service bulletin attached to your Sunday service email. There you will see there that we have many groups and committee meetings. Some are live here in the church, some are on Zoom only, and some offer a choice in how you can attend. There are many different ways to be involved in our congregation, and we hope that you can find something that interests you and fits your talents. The success of this congregation depends on the work of many hands, and each of us has something special to offer. Our Safe Congregation Committee diligently monitors the COVID numbers in our area, and they have risen a bit this last month. And at the present time, we are asking that masks be worn. Any type of mask will be sufficient. You're not required to wear N95s. Our Sunday social hours after the services and our potlucks scheduled for the first Sunday of each month will continue for now. Please continue to stay at home if you have any COVID symptoms or are recovering from COVID or have had a recent exposure. We appreciate your cooperation with our efforts to stay safe. And I believe we have an announcement. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Just a special announcement about our upcoming David Roth concert. We're getting close. It's about a week and a half from now, a week from Thursday. And we really want to push the ticket sales. So if you haven't purchased your tickets, please do so. They'll be on sale after the service today and again next Sunday. Please try to encourage friends and neighbors to come. We also have flyers out there if you have a place, maybe in your community or a business nearby that has a place where you can post it. We have plenty of those, so please don't hesitate to take one of those. Yes.
Just want to add, go to our website. You'll find that on the second picture that scrolls on the front page, there's a David Roth concert flyer poster.
Okay.
Very cool thing. We made happen this week. On that picture, there's a hyperlink in blue that says Eventbrite. That is a special button. If you click on it, it will take you right to the ticket purchasing window, and you can buy your ticket to the concert right there on your website.
Oh, cool.
Without calling anybody or doing anything.
Great. So, and you can encourage other people to do that. Go to the website and purchase right off that link that's on the poster on our website. So that's a great addition. Thank you for getting that going for us, Kristen. And Bernie wanted me to just make a little change to your announcement on the COVID thing. The Safe Congregation is recommending, highly recommending, that we wear masks. It is not required yet. We hope it doesn't go there. Thank you, everybody.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
For those of you that might be receiving calendars from organizations that you donate to, beautiful calendars that you cannot use all of them, Umatilla Elementary's after-school program is going to appreciate any calendars that are shared, and I will take them over there once I collect them from here. So for the next couple of weeks, there'll be a bin out here that'll be marked calendar for Umatilla Elementary. And yeah, so please take advantage of this opportunity. If you haven't already recycled, what the kids will do is they'll cut out the pictures and make collages. And they do activities in this after school program. So thank you in advance. Hi.
2023 or
2023. They've probably been coming to you probably since about October, so you may have already recycled them. We do want the pretty pictures. You don't have to cut them out though. Just donate the calendar, and then the kids will do that. Yeah, I mean, if you have calendars that you have around that you want to donate, we'll take previous years too. You know. So I'll have it out here on Sunday next week.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Henry. Okay, so our speaker today is Rev Kaaren Anderson. Originally from Wisconsin, Reverend Anderson graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in 1988 with a BS in Art Administration. Then in 1995, she received a Ministry of Divinity degree from Union Theological Seminary, Columbia University. Ordained in 1995, her preliminary fellowship began that year with the UU Society of Rockport, Massachusetts. After gaining full fellowship in 1999, Reverend Anderson served congregations in Glens Falls, Utica, Rochester, and Canandaigua, New York. She serves as the interim minister for the UU Fellowship in Vero Beach. She has an online studio of her artwork, Solvay Studio, and also does pet portrait art on commission. She and her husband, Scott Taylor, live on a small horse farm in Honeoye Falls, New York. During our service this morning, please mute your phones. If you are joining us on Zoom, please stay muted. And if you're interested in receiving our weekly bulletin or in learning more about us, please send an email to office@uulakecounty.org so we can contact you.
Good morning. I want to start out by telling you a little story this morning. I had a parishioner in one of the congregations that I served who was in her early 40s, and she had a 16-year-old son who kind of just couldn't find his place. And the two of them were kind of at it all the time and fighting, and wasn't doing well in school, wasn't hanging out with the right people, nor could he find his people, kind of. And one day he ran away from home. And when I say he ran away from home, he ran away from home. So this was in Utica, New York, and he was gone for over 24 hours. So at 25 hours, they got the police to put an APB out for the entire state of New York, and then the states that were connected to New York. And they found him in the bus station in Cleveland, the Greyhound bus station, and he was on his way to California, where he wanted to live on the beach. When they got him, they brought him back, of course, and they promptly got into therapy for him and for the entire family. And when this parishioner is telling me about this experience with her son, she told me that, she wasn't really that frustrated or upset with him. She actually was impressed for two reasons. One is that he only brought two things with him when he was traveling. One is a 12-pack piece of toilet paper, and the other was a guitar. Now, she felt like he, was being practical and thoughtful about his needs on the beach with the toilet paper. And the other piece about the guitar was he didn't play guitar. So he was had always wanted to be a musician, and he brought the guitar along to kind of find his center, right? To find most who he wanted to be in the world. I remember that story often because it reminds me, I think, of one of the reasons that we come to church, that we offer each other the tools in order to find what's most important to us, what's really at our center of who we want to be and become into the world. So welcome to our celebration of life, the place that offers us that opportunity week after week.
We gratefully acknowledge the traditional lands of the Timucua Native peoples, upon whose ancestral homeland our church stands today. We are blessed with this land, and we vow to care for it as our Mother Earth cares for us and for all living things. We are the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Lake County. For those who may be new to the UU community, we are an inclusive fellowship that works for a just community and fosters a lifelong search for personal fulfillment. While we have no creed or dogma, some of us believe there is a God, some do not, and some are not sure. We do have 7 principles that guide us. The first of these is that we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Yes, Black Lives Matter. Yes, women and men should have equal rights and opportunities. We are a UU welcoming congregation, a designation that indicates our clear intention to include lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning people. We welcome all to share in the life of our congregation. I'm Alexandra Legan, and I'm honored to be your service leader this morning. If you are a first-time visitor, or perhaps returning after an absence, and if you feel comfortable doing so, I invite you to wave your hand and tell us who you are and where you're from, or maybe what brought you here today, and wait for a mic to reach you. Hands. Okay. Okie dokie. So, Dawn, can you give me a hand? Thanks, sweetie. The flame of our chalice this morning is a symbol of the warmth and brightness of our connections. The flame lights our way back together again, and it lights our way forward into this new year of promise and renewal. Into this new year of promise and renewal. Spirit of mine, come unto me. Sing in my heart, all the stirrings of compassion. Oh, in the wind, rise in the sea. Life, the shade of justice, only knows, we set me free. Spirit of life, come. Each Sunday, we make time for those who wish to offer a joy, concern, or sorrow, or to set an intention for the coming days. As we share joy, it multiplies. When we share sorrow, it begins to lessen. Sharing an intention can give us strength. If you would like to take part in our stone ritual, I invite you now to come in silence to place a stone or stones in the sand at either of the two stations, one in the front and one in the back. Following this time, anyone who has a joy, concern, or intention that you wish to share aloud with the congregation, please raise your hand and someone will bring the mic to you. Is there anyone who has a joy, concern, or intention they would like to share aloud with the congregation? Yes.
Try to make this quick, but you know me. A lot of you know how special my two sons are to me. They're the reason I live. Well, my youngest son has been struggling for almost 2 years. But the final straw was he's in the mortgage business, and a whole bunch was laid off a couple months ago. This is following the 2 years of horrible 2 years for him. He was going down a very dark hole. He lived by himself in Jacksonville and isolated himself, going into some deep depression, which it was really horrible. Well, last week, he got an offer and accepted a job with Dun & Bradstreet. So I am, as hard as he's worked, without a college education, he's a super brain, and oh, mama's so happy to climb out of this hole.
My daughter Sarah lives in Ohio, and she has MS, and she's been doing well, but she's had a flare up, and she's got some family that's come in to stay with her for a while, and we're praying that she can get through this and continue in the same way she was with the MS without having flare ups or anything more devastating. Thank you.
Okay. If there is anyone who has not been mentioned that you hold concern for, please feel free to name them aloud at this time. Those attending by Zoom may unmute briefly. John, Sharice. We will now enter into a time of silent meditation, being mindful of the joys and concerns that we have just heard. Take a moment to find a comfortable posture and let the chime draw you into mindfulness. Terry's lovely music will then bring us back. Please join me in reaffirming who we are by reciting together our congregational covenant found on the screen. Love is the spirit of this church, and through service we live our principles. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. It is our practice to give generously to our church as we are able, keeping in mind both its meaning in our lives and its impact on the world. We are thankful to all who provide financial support for UUCLC. For those who wish to give today, you can leave your contribution in the wooden box located on the table in the narthex, just outside the sanctuary doors. You can also contribute on our website, uu@lakecounty.org. Thank you for your donations today. Let's all rise as we are able and sing from the Gray Book, hymn number 113, Where is Our Holy Church?
So as many of you know, we are kind of thought of as a smorgasbord kind of religion. We take a little of this and a little of that, and we mix it all together. I have a colleague who says that makes him feel, best about our faith is that we accept and affirm each other's differences, but also that we protect each other's differences. And man can be absolutely different. We are somewhat of a smorgasbord religion. That's kind of how people would explain what we are. We take a little of this and a little of that, and we put it all together. I have a colleague who says what makes him feel best about our faith is that we accept and affirm each other's differences, but also how we protect each other's differences. And man, we can be absolutely different in our beliefs, right? We can have an atheist, a theist, an agnostic, a pagan, a Christian, a panentheist. I do agree with my friend that what he is talking about is precious in and of itself and enough for him. I love my friend, but I'm not sure that's enough for me or enough for the world. So to tease this out a little bit, I want to share two stories with you. Now, the first is an ancient story. It's a story about Abraham, who, of course, is the father of faith for Christians and Jews and for Muslims. Karen Armstrong, the British writer on comparative religions, reminds us that it is difficult to discern what Abraham actually believes. This is not a guy with a dogma or a 10-point confession of faith that he has memorized kind of in his head. Instead, when it comes to beliefs, he's regularly kind of confused and asks more questions than gets satisfying answers for. But what he does have is one profound religious experience. So I want you to imagine this. Abraham is out at the desert and he's with his tribe, and it's a hot day. He's sitting outside with a big feather fan, kind of cooling himself off, and the rest of the tribe is sleeping, taking a siesta, right? And out on the horizon, he sees people coming towards where he is. Now, in the ancient world, as is true kind of in our present day world, sometimes the stranger could be thought of as a threat, right? As something that would not be good for your mental health or your physical health. But what does Abraham do in his time? He stands up, he brushes off his robes, and he yells out a greeting. ¿Qué pasa? Well, okay, he doesn't really do that, but you get the idea, right? He goes up to them and he invites them to stay for dinner, and he puts out his best wares, kind of all of his elaborate meal that he had made up, and they share stories and offer solace and comfort to one another. And it happens quite slyly, without oracle or fanfare, that one of those strangers is Abraham's God. And so it is actually through an act of practical compassion, Abraham has ushered in the holy. It is true that by serving needs greater than your own, the holy descended upon him. Now, the second story I want to share with you is a modern day story. It's a story about my friend Marcy and Brian. And Marcy and Brian live in New York City, and one night they went out to have dinner at a Chinese restaurant. And they sat at one of those tables that, you know, when restaurants have those big picture windows that are between them kind of and the street, that's where they were sitting. And as they were there, you know, they started eating this big plate of lo mein noodles that they had. And as they're sharing them, this kind of frail, kind of wiry woman comes up and grabs their plate off of the table and says, sorry, and grabs the plate, and she starts running out the door with this plate of lo mein in her hand. And here she is, she's out on the sidewalk, which they can see clearly with the lo mein thief, right? And she's shoving the noodles into her mouth, like eating as quickly as possible, and outruns the proprietor of the Chinese restaurant, and he's yelling at her in Chinese, and they both have a handle on that plate, and they're going back and forth with that plate. And sure enough, those noodles slip down with her, and the woman just looks dejectedly at the noodles below her, and the proprietor takes the plate and he raises it up in the, you know, air like a symbol of victory that he got his plate back, and he walks back into the restaurant. And then my friends were offered a new plate of lo mein noodles, but by that time they were already you know, full and ready to go. So they head out for a movie that was not that far away, and they start walking to the movie theater, and about a block later they run into that woman who had stolen the plate of noodles. And my friend Marcy says, you know, I really want to give her our noodles. We're not going to eat these. And Brian is like, no, like, can we just leave her alone? Like, it's not a good scene, because actually this woman's like yelling at somebody walking down the street already and kind of agitated again. And Marcy says no. And she walks over to this woman and she says, you know, I don't know you, but I just met you because you took our noodles off of our table, and I'm guessing you're probably hungry. Would you like them? She hands her the noodles, and the woman looks at her in the eye, puts her hand on her chest, bows ever so slightly, says thank you, and walks away. Now, my friend Marcy told me that story as an atheist, but as she said it was real and moving. She said something happened in that exchange. She did not use traditional theological language, yet like Abraham, she was clear that an act of practical compassion had led to a holy encounter. So those are two different stories, two very different ideologies, right? One of Abraham, the theist, the other of Marcy, the atheist. As belief systems, they're kind of incompatible with each other. As experiences, though, they're virtually the same. And here's where we, as Unitarian Universalists, are in very familiar territory. From where I stand, this kind of sums up the dominant pattern of our theological debates in the last 20 and 30 years, especially as it's played out in our congregations. For years, we've kind of begun discussions that posit two very different belief systems against each other, very much akin to that of Abraham and then Marcy. And while those two opposing belief systems aren't always those of the atheist versus the theist, they have, for most of our recent history at least, been the two that get paired off against each other. And as belief systems, they've certainly sounded to us for a long time as an either-or option. But as we've kind of pushed each other and fought with each other and belittled each other, unfortunately, and hung in there, though, with each other, and then listened harder and loved more lovingly to each other, we've eventually gotten around to talking about that common experience that is connecting these very different beliefs. We're, in a sense, come around to what my Midwest friends might say, you say potato, I say potato, but we're really talking about the same thing in the end, right? Now, I don't want to overstate this, and I do not want to pretend that all the loose ends are neatly tied up. I know that in some pockets of our congregations, there are, kind of the stale argument still going. The stale humanist theists are still in a debate. Sometimes it's alive and well. I know that some atheists are still trying to expose their theist friends' beliefs as illogical or an inauthentic marketing ploy, so we're attractive to a Christian nation. I know that we still have theists who privately and publicly kind of pat their atheist friends on the head and condescendingly tell them they can't wait until the day that they grow up and become more spiritual. But on the whole, the tide has completely changed. These are minor pockets and uncommon moments of slipping back kind of into old habits. But it's not by any measure who we are anymore. I think we are really kind of grown up and are clear that the question of belief is not which belief is right and which belief is wrong, but does your belief lead you to the right experience? Do your beliefs lead you to a practical experience of compassion and connection? I like to provocatively say to our newcomers, Unitarian Universalism doesn't really care if you're an atheist or agnostic, theist, pagan, Buddhist, Barnes and Nobleite. We don't care. Do your beliefs, though, lead you to listen to your deepest voice, be open to life's gifts, and to serve needs greater than your own? In other words, do your beliefs help you connect to yourself and to others and to life? If your beliefs serve kind of that higher purpose of connection, they're in. If they don't, and we really mean this, they're out. That right there is what Karen Armstrong says over and over again in her writing, if you've ever read any of her work. She points out that all major religious traditions, in one way or another, are fundamentally talking about one thing: compassion and connection. Or as she puts it, we are most fully ourselves when we give ourselves away. The single test of every theology, of every spiritual practice she has ever studied is, does it result in getting outside of our piggish self? No, she didn't say it that way, but that's my interpretation of what it is that she's saying. She loves telling that story of Rabbi Hillel that you may have heard somewhere along the line. It's a story of a pagan who asked Rabbi Hillel to tell the entire kind of contents of the Jewish tradition while standing on one foot. And if Rabbi Hillel can do that, then this pagan would convert to being a Jew. So Rabbi Hillel did this. He stands on one foot, like I am doing right now, which you cannot see, but he does this. He said, "Do not do unto others as you would not have done unto you. That is the Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and learn it." And I want you to notice something here. And this is where we get to kind of the rub of this sermon. Notice whenever Armstrong tells this story, if you've read her work, as I said, or heard her speak, she goes out of her way to stress that God wasn't mentioned, nor was Mount Sinai or the law of the Holy Land or other values inseparable from mainstream Judaism. She emphasizes that Hillel summed up the allegiance of Judaism as being devoted to that experience of compassion and connection. She often goes on and does the same analysis for all kinds of other religious traditions. Now, when she does this, what I actually hear her doing is not just affirming the worth of kind of many different beliefs and many traditions, but kind of boldly proclaiming that those diverse traditions and beliefs are accountable to a higher standard. She is declaring and calling every religion to a higher authority of the experience of compassion and connection. She's not talking, by the way, about common ground or celebrating diversity. She is kind of drawing a line, if you listen to her, to put simply, between good religion and bad religion, between religion that has the power to heal and hold the world, and religion that has the power to rip it apart. That's what I hear so clearly when I listen to her or when I read her. But friends, and here's the thing, not so clearly from us. In other words, I see our journey of discovery over the last 20 years almost mirroring that journey of discovery that Kaaren Armstrong has been on. She took that discovery and then she declared it to be religion's kind of core purpose and reason for being, while we still haven't gotten there quite yet. We took this experience of connection and compassion and used it to see how theists and humanists were on the same page, almost to heal our own kind of internal divide between both of them. But then we somehow never went on to claim it as our own common and core purpose. And I know that's going to sound like I'm chewing us out a little bit, which I don't really mean to. All I mean to say, friends, is we found our center. We just haven't named it as that yet. You see, if this experience of spiritual connection and compassion is the best way to define the core purpose of our faith, if this is where we are at and it captures what we are about, friends, I guarantee you, there is a huge hurting world out there that is in need of our help. For the last 25 years of my ministry, and certainly the last 10, I know that the majority of people newly in our pews that are coming in as visitors and sitting down and hoping to find something are not coming wanting to ask, do I need to leave my brain outside of the door? They are asking, do I need to leave my pain outside of the door? And I honestly, I don't even hear them emphasizing their primary hunger as helping them explore kind of spiritual depth or building their own theology. Now, what I hear them saying is, you know what? There is a world out there that is ripping my life apart. And I am wondering if this place can help me or not. Seriously, I can't deal with materialistic, classist, consumerist, shallow, selfish, self-obsessed, indifferent, violent, economically unstable culture, a world that threatens to disconnect me from everything that I hold dear. everything that feeds me and gives me life. I can't do it on my own. And I want to know, is this the place that I can do that? Can you help me with that or not? See, more than anything this morning, I'd like to be a mirror for us. I want to reflect back to you, my friends, and get us to notice this great insight that we actually have. We keep trying to figure out our saving message, but we've already got it, don't we? I want you to think about why you are there, why you're sitting in those pews right now. Think about why you've given your heart and your hands and your wallet to that congregation. Is it simply because someone gave you room and the freedom to decide what beliefs were important to you? They let you be a theist or agnostic or a Buddhist or a Christian. Or is it because that congregation, through sermons and in covenant groups and in social justice work, help illuminate how your beliefs help connect you to your deepest self, to life's gifts, and serving needs greater than your own? In this world of disconnection, isn't the value of the place found ultimately in being the force that dedicates itself to solely fighting that disconnection? And also being clear to the world that that's what we are here to help with, promoting the experience of compassion and connection. See, here's the thing. I know I've argued here to say that I think we are offering the world something better, kind of like stickier, more grounding than just merely holding a bunch of various beliefs. Honestly, the sermon isn't just about reminding us that as a theist and as an atheist, we are closer than we think, but it's about the possibility that we are more relevant than we think. For so long, we've put at the center of our faith kind of protecting our right to freedom of belief, which has posited our religion and our churches as places of retreat, kind of as literal sanctuaries to run away to find like-minded people, to escape from a world where we feel outnumbered and surrounded by voices whose values, beliefs, and ideologies are different than our own. I know that to be true, especially in Florida communities that tend to be more conservative politically, ideologically, and theologically. But if healing spiritual disconnection is at our center and not freedom of belief, then who we are as a religion and what we are called to do seems to radically change. Maybe rather than being an oasis of which people can retreat to, we are more like RVs that are set up like ambulances that go out and set up camp in those places of the world that are hurting. Maybe what this community needs is for us to take this saving message of ours and our healing tools and go out and help bandage up a society and culture that has ripped us apart. Which in the end means maybe this is more of an evangelical sermon. And just remember that evangelical just means at its very root to share the good news. That's it. Truth is, I don't know where this leads you as a congregation. I just know that these ideas have captured my imagination and certainly my heart. I'm hoping it's captured a few of yours as well. Because in the end, the more we hole up in fear of being outed as heretics, non-theists, or God forbid, not even liberal Christians, the more the community and people in it forget their moral obligation and commitment to the greater we, and we, because we are holed up, forget it as well. The only things that save deteriorating civil discourse and a fragile and waning collective obligation to the common good is to remind each other we are more similar than dissimilar. We are more connected than disconnected. We are all human. We're kind of all in this together, no matter what someone's beliefs or faith or political leaning. And again, I don't know really where this leads us. I'm just hoping some of it has captured your imagination and heart as it has done mine. Because this framing can help each of us think through who we are and where we want to go. I want to end with this little tiny poem that's quite wonderful. It's by Shel Silverstein. It's called Magic Carpet. You have a magic carpet that will whiz you through the air to Spain or Maine or Africa if you just tell it where. So will you let it take you where you've never been before, or will you buy some drapes to match and use it on your floor? We have a magic carpet, my friends, capable of doing much more than matching drapes. May we be charged to let it take us where we've never been before. May it be so. Amen. I invite you to join with me now into the hymn that you're going to be singing all collectively together, which is 131, Love Will Guide Us.
As we say in our covenant, love is the spirit of this congregation. May the songs we sing celebrate this love. May the lives we lead embody this spirit. The world aches for us to connect and bring about healing, toil for justice, and produce ever-increasing love. This is our calling. Let's go forth and connect. That concludes our service. Again, we thank you for joining us. Please enjoy Terry's music as we depart, and we hope to see you again next week.